Avoid.
Okay, but you don't have to worry. It's just, I don't think that it really, when you send out the recordings, I don't think it shows any what everybody else is doing, just the speaker. Okay, so I'm so excited to have this. I feel like it's so good to have like some sort of inspiration throughout the day, in the middle of, especially in the middle of the day. And I feel like it just like moves us along. It's kind of like, you know, like we work out and we like feel so good the rest of the day and it gives us energy. I feel like if we could just have a little bit of learning throughout in the middle of our week, we could just like move on and continue on. It's like by Wednesday, we're like, when is Shabbos coming? When is it going to be the end of the week already? So hopefully this will give us a little bit of energy. I know it does for me. Hi, Raquel, welcome. Okay, so let's begin. What we're going to do here is we're going to delve into different characters in the Torah, and we're really going to delve in a very deep way in order to make it more relatable to ourselves. You know, I started teaching it to Ferris in high school in grade 11. And what's interesting, which you forget about this whole way of thinking when you're out of it for so long, I realized that they're so focused on their grades and they're so focused on their notes that they forgot what really Torah is really about. It's not about knowing what every single word means and what I have to know for the test and what I don't have to know for the test. It's really about taking the Torah lessons and really applying it to our lives, our like everyday lives, and making it real and making it part of us. So this is what I really want to get out of this, is not just to learn, oh, you know, this is a history and this is what happened in our past, but really to take it and say, like, how can I change and how can I become better because of it? And I love that face, Alona. Anyway, so okay, so let's begin. So we're going to be, I just want to add Matt, Dorit. Okay, so we're going to be, hi Dorit, we're going to be delving into Miriam. Let's start. So I've said this story before, and I want to say it again because I feel like every time I say it, even for myself, it really, really, you know, affects me in a different way. So Rav Noach said this amazing mashal, this amazing analogy. He says, oh, can everybody mute themselves? Okay. He says this amazing analogy. This guy is on the, you know, up on the top floor in Wall Street, and he's making this really, really big deal. And he makes this like $15 million deal finally after months and months of working on it. And he's so excited. He doesn't take the elevator. He runs down the steps in the Wall Street building and he feels so high. He feels so big. He feels so great. And he walks out. Right outside of his building, he sees a homeless guy sitting on the floor. And he feels so good about himself. He feels so great that he made this amazing $15 million deal that he decides, you know what? I'm going to change this homeless guy's life. I'm going to write this guy a check. And he takes out his checkbook and he writes $1 million. $1 million. He opens up the guy's bag while he's sleeping. He puts it into his bag. He zips it up. He walks away feeling so good about himself. I gave him $1 million to a homeless guy. The homeless guy wakes up in the morning. He picks up his bag, he collects his blankets, he collects all his stuff, he puts it into his cart, puts it on his back, and he walks down the streets asking people for money. He has no idea what's inside his bag. He has no idea that he has $1 million. And Rav Noach Weinberg says, this is an analogy for our lives. Hashem gives us a piece of him inside us. We all have a chelek elokam mimal, a portion of Hashem within us. And we don't even know, we don't even necessarily tap into that potential. We don't tap into those gifts that Hashem gives us. We don't even know what's inside our bag. We just go on throughout our day, figuring out, okay, we have to buy milk, we have to buy eggs, we have to pick up the kids, the carpools, everything else. And we don't even realize that Hashem gives us a little portion of himself within us. We have it in our bags. We could just have to open it up and take it out. And one of the greatest, and the thing about this idea is that a chelak, a portion of Hashem, a portion of Hashem within us means that every aspect that Hashem has, we have a little portion of that. So if God is slow to anger, then we also have that ability to be slow to anger. If God is so giving, we have the ability to give also because we have a little portion of him. We have a little, it's our neshama. We have a neshama. We have a soul. We have a little part of Hashem. Let me just add somebody. We have a little portion of Hashem within us. So we have that ability and the potential that Hashem has in this, that Hashem gives us in this world. What's the greatest creative power that Hashem has? Does anybody know? What's the greatest creative power that Hashem has? Hi, Tanya. The greatest power that Hashem has, that we have a little portion of Hashem, is that he has the ability to speak. And we say it actually every day when the men, when the women, every day when we start shacharit, when we start the prayer service, the prayer starts with Baruch Sha'amar V'haya Ha'olam. The prayer starts with, what does that mean? Baruch Sha'amar V'haya Ha'olam. You'll see when you go to shul, when you go to any shul, anywhere in the world, that's the first thing that they start with. Baruch Sha'amar V'haya Ha'olam. Hashem, who Baruch, blessed is the one that says, and all of a sudden the world is created. Baruch Sha'amar, Hashem says, and the world is created. What does that mean? That Hashem created the world with 10 utterances. Hashem said, let there be light, and guess what? There was light. Hashem said, let there be darkness, and guess what? There was darkness. Hashem didn't say, I'm going to make light, asa, or uses the word, I'm going to command that the world has light. It doesn't say that. It says, V'hu Amar, and he said, let there be light. And guess what? There was light. So the most powerful creative power that we have within our bags and our homeless bags within us is the power to speak. We have the ability to create and to destroy with our words. That's real power. That's major. That we have the ability to speak, and then we have the ability to create because of it, or to destroy. That it matters that if we speak badly about somebody else here in Toronto, it affects somebody in Sydney, Australia. That's how powerful our words are. That's scary, but that's also really empowering. That the Medrash actually says, the Torah actually says that when we use our words and we say, this apple is pork, and we make a promise that I promise you this apple is pork, the apple becomes not kosher, because our words have the spiritual power. Physically, we have the power spiritually to create something, to change something physically. That's how powerful we are. And actually, as women, we have this even more, because I'm just admitting somebody, sorry. We have this even more as women. We have the special mitzvah of nida, of, every month when we go through the cycle, every month, the only one that can declare that we have our periods, that we are a nida, that we are in this new state, this new period of time, no pun intended, is when we say it. When we say, hey, I have my period. When we use those words, we actually have our period, which is actually, there's actually a law that says that if we say we have our period and we don't really have our period, it's as if we are a nida. We are in that state of I don't even know how to say it. I don't want to say impurity, but like that state of nida, that we have to go to the mikvah, and we have to go through that whole process in order to become purified. Does that make sense, everybody?
Just to clarify, though, you have to have had some sort of a stain. Right. Like,
right. I'm not
just
going to the laws of what, yeah, exactly. We're not going to the laws. I'm just saying how powerful our words are, that we have the power. Like your husband could say, oh, you have your period. He can't say that. You're the one that has to say it. The women have this special power with words, and words are really, really powerful. When you say something, you can really hurt someone. It says like sticks and stone may break bones, but words can never harm me. They really can harm you. They really can. And when my son wakes up in the morning and I say, can you just pick up your stuff after yourself? And that's how I start his day. That's how his day starts. And that's how he feels. And when I start my son's day off and I say, good morning, I'm so happy to see you. Here's some breakfast. That's how his day starts, because our words are very powerful. Our words are so powerful, and Hashem gave us that ability because we have a little chilek, a little portion, a little part of Hashem within us, within our bags. Sorry, what is Alona was saying? That's the Shahakol bracha that we say Shahakol. Alona, you want to expand about that?
Just because it says Shakol Ni'abid Varo, everything became with his words.
Exactly. Everything is with Hashem's words. Hashem creates with his words. And that's why it matters when we say Lashon Hara about somebody, and in Israel, we can create a bomb. Like, it's really serious. Like, our speech is really serious. And when we say something, when we hold back and we don't say something, that also creates, and that helps somebody that has corona feel better. Because our words are so powerful, and no matter where we are in the world, time and space is not something that we have in the spiritual world, but spiritually we can create and destroy physically. Does that make sense? So nowadays, and please speak up if you have anything to add or any questions or any insight that you want to add to this. But nowadays we really don't have this idea of sticking to our words and that our words really matter that much. Really, the most important thing is that we have contract, that we have Raquel Leviv here, who's a contract expert, that when we have a contract, it really matters. That's when we really mean it, right? So
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. Our contracts say something, but the really ideally should be that our words really matter much more. Right? When we say something, we mean it. When we say I'm going on a diet, we actually mean that we're going on a diet. And we should be going to Zara and actually ordering new clothes because we know we're going to be losing weight because we're serious about our words. We say we're going to do it, we're going to do it, and we mean it. That's how powerful our words really should be. I remember Charlie Harari once said this, a great story, that when he first started in his practice as a lawyer, he said that he was learning on the job, but he made a really big deal with he had someone higher up, his boss, and he was working for, they made a really big deal. It was a $10 million deal, and they were selling a building in Manhattan. And it was with this older guy that was their client, and they were working on it for a very long time. I think it was like 6 or 7 months. And he said that they sat with each other. They sat with the older guy, and they actually finally made a $10 million deal. Great, we're going to sell this building for $10 million. They shook on it. They were so excited. Yay, we're going to get everything together. We'll get the paperwork together. 2 days later, his boss, Charlie's boss, calls him and says, Charlie, you got to get the guy on the phone. Find out if he signed anything. Something crazy happened. Get him on the phone. So he gets him on the phone, and he calls him, and he's like, did you sign any contracts? He's like, no. He's like, okay, good. Got to come to the office. Something important is going on. So he brings the guy to the office, this older Jewish guy, and he says, I'm so happy that you didn't sign anything. Are you sure you didn't sign anything? Like you didn't send anything in? He's like, no, I didn't sign anything in. I didn't send anything in yet. He's like, okay, good. Because Home Depot just bought the building right next door to yours. And that means your building is worth $20 million. It doubled in price. So now we can sell it for 20 million and not for 10 million. And the older guy looks at him and says, but I signed. I said I'm going to do for $10 million. I didn't sign, but my word is my word. I shook on it. And they were like, no, it doesn't really matter because it's not in the contract. It's okay. We could just change 20 million. He's like, no. I shook on it. And my word is my word. Where do we find that nowadays? Where do we see that kind of purity and that realness, that our words really matter and we stick to our words when we say it? So I think that the only thing that we have nowadays, sorry, I don't know how to turn this off. I think that the only thing that we have nowadays that's really like this is when someone gets engaged. We don't really have contracts for that. Imagine like two people, a guy and a girl going out, dating, it's going really well, and he's ready to pop the question. And he puts out this whole beautiful proposal with flowers and roses and wine and champagne and everything else, and this beautiful thing. And he says, will you marry me? And she says, yes. And he says, yay, we're engaged. We're so excited. And they call everybody. And for the next few months, they plan their wedding, and they put checks down payments for their apartment and their hall and their photographer and everything, the makeup and everything. And the day of the wedding comes, and the groom is nowhere to be found. And they're calling him, where are you? Where are you? Come here. Finally, he shows up to the hall, and he's like, hey, I've been looking all over for you. Where have you been? And the bride says, what do you mean? We're getting married today. Why are you dressed like that? We're taking pictures. You're late. And he's like, what? You took that seriously? I was just joking when I said, will you marry me? We don't have that nowadays, right? We don't see that nowadays. It's not a joke. We're real. We're serious. We're honest about it, because our word is our word. We don't really see that anywhere else in our lives. Yeah? Not really. We don't really see that. And we should be living our lives in that kind of way. Our words are so powerful. So speaking of tefillah, of prayer every day, we say, Baruch Shamar b'hayolam, Hashem created the world with words. Every single day, we actually have to say, there's 6 phrases that we say every morning that we actually have to remember. It's called the zechiros, the rememberings. That we have to remember 6 things every single day. And one of them is remember that what Amalek did to us. I remember that we have to keep Shabbos, right? And remember, zachar, zachar, zachar. It says zachar, zachar, zachar. And one of the zechirim, zechiros, are zachar. I'm going to translate. Zachar es asher asa Hashem Elokecha leMiriam. Remember what Hashem did to Miriam. Every single day, the men, the women, everybody has to say 6 things that we have to remember. And every single day we have to start off our day remembering these things. Remember that Hashem took you out of Egypt. Remember what happened with Amalek. Remember that you have to keep the Shabbos. Remember what happened to Miriam. What happened to Miriam? Who is Miriam? What does Miriam teach us? And when did this happen? It says that it happened when the Jews were going out of Egypt. Does anybody know what happened to Miriam? Who was Miriam? So I love this. I just feel so connected to this. Like I have a child, I yell at Miriam, and my grandmother was named Miriam, and I actually did a whole report on this when I was younger. I was 18 years old. And I really feel so connected to this name, Miriam. And it sounds like it's such a bitter, horrible name, but it's actually Miriam sounds like a Mariam, like bitter waters, which is true. It's one of the aspects of Miriam. But she was such a special person. She was a prophetess. She was a Neviah. She spoke to Hashem, and she was actually one of the people. There's very few people in the world that died. It says, the Torah says that she died with the kiss of Hashem, with Hashem's lips. Hashem kissed her and she died. She was such a tzaddikas. She was such a righteous person. She was such a powerful woman in our history, and we don't really know so much about her. We don't really, but at the same time, we have to remember her every single day. So who was Miriam? What was so special about Miriam? So I want to just get into it a little bit right now. And I know that we're getting crunched for time here, but let's get into it a little bit. I don't know if I can share my screen. Does anybody have anything to share, by the way? I've been talking a lot. Anybody have anything?
Yeah, it's great so far, Fraidy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so here, share my screen. Can everybody see? Yeah, thumbs up if you.
Yes, I can see.
Okay, great. So what does it say? It says, okay, I want you to see it inside. It says, Hishamer b'negat hatzaras l'shmor me'od. You have to, okay, in cases of the skin affliction, the tzaras, you have to remember, what does it say? Be most careful, be very careful, l'shmor me'od, be very, very careful. What do you have to be careful about? Tzaras. You have to be careful about the skin condition, the skin effect and infection that we're getting. What are they talking about? Does anybody know what psoriasis is? Psoriasis?
I do.
Yeah.
And it's not psoriasis. It is, isn't it when you lie or commit something at the time it showed all over your body?
So close. It's actually when you speak badly about somebody else
Sorry, that's, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
someone gets saras. They get like this thing all over their body, and it actually could come in different ways. It'll be like a white snowy thing all over their bodies. It could be very painful. It could start their hair could start falling out. It's a whole disease on its own, right? And there's a whole process to it, which we're not going to get into right this second. We're going to get into it at one point, but not now. And the next paragraph, what does it say? Zachar, exactly what we just said. Zachar es asher asah Hashem lokecha Miriam. Remember what Hashem did to Miriam, baderach b'tzeischa mitzrayim, on your way out of Mitzrayim, on your way out of Egypt. Remember what happened to Miriam. What does that have to do with saras? What does it have to do with the skin condition that happens if you speak lashon hara, you speak badly about somebody? So let's go into what happens to Miriam. What are they talking about? What happened when the Jewish people left Egypt? It says over here, you can still see my screen?
Didn't she speak badly about her brother?
Exactly. Good. V'tidaber Miriam, and Miriam spoke, and we can get into why it says v'tidaber instead of v'teamer, right? Why doesn't it say like, and she said? Why is it saying it's, and she spoke? Like really, it's like a very harsh way of saying it. What is she saying? Who is she talking to? Aaron, her brother. Who is she talking about? Moshe, her other brother. Siblings are talking about another sibling. Isn't this normal? Don't siblings do this? I remember when I was younger, my sister was like, okay, guys, we're going to analyze each other. We're going to like, and then my sister analyzed all of us. And then when we were done with all of us, she was done. I was like, wait a minute, what about you? We have to analyze you also, right? This is what siblings do. They talk about each other, no? Don't they like, discuss like, hey, what's up? What's going on with this and this? Oh, did you see what happened with their marriage? And oh my gosh, she's like all over the place. She's losing it with her kids. What, we have to do something to help her. Don't siblings do this? Don't we get competitive like this? So what happens? Miriam speaks to Aaron about Moses, about Moshe. What does she say? Al odos ha'isha hakushis. She talks about how Moshe left his wife. So what happened here? I'm going to stop sharing now. What happened here? Miriam is talking to Aaron and she's actually concerned. She's really worried that Moshe divorced his wife, is separated from his wife. She's like, what's going on here? Why is Moshe leaving his wife? Why is Moses leaving his wife? His wife was Isha Kushit. And actually, let me just admit, Rita. Actually, Moses leaves his wife, and it says Isha Kushit, that she was like this black woman. And the reason why Rashi says that, one of the commentators say, why is it saying that Moshe, that why doesn't it just say Moses left Zipporah? That was his wife's name, Zipporah. Why is it saying like the black woman? So actually Rashi says, and the commentators say, the reason why the Torah says the black woman is because she was so beautiful that it was so obvious. Okay, man, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We love you. It's good to see your beautiful face. The reason why Moses left his, the reason why it says Isha Kushit, that she was a black woman, is because it was so obvious that she was beautiful. It was so black and white to everybody. Like everyone thought, it wasn't like the eyes of the beholder. It was like everybody thought she was beautiful, which is even the more so like, oh my gosh, he's leaving his most beautiful wife. Like, it's not like he doesn't have like a nice looking wife. Like, he's a beautiful, amazing inside and outside wife. Like, beautiful. A really special tzaddikat. A really righteous person. Why is he leaving her? Why did he leave her? And the reason why he left her is because, and how did she know? The commentators say that the way that Miriam knew that Moshe left his wife was because she overheard Zipporah, his wife, talking and said, oh my gosh, I heard that Eldad and Medad, those two other people are getting nevuah, they're getting prophecy. I feel so bad for their wives because they're going to leave their wives also. And that's how Miriam overheard. Wait, they're going to leave their wives? Why do you have to leave your wife in order to talk to Hashem? Why do you have to leave your wife in order to get prophecy? I'm a prophetess. I'm not leaving my husband. Aaron, are you leaving your wife? You're a prophet. You're not leaving your wife. I'm not leaving my husband. I'm not leaving my family to talk to Hashem. Why is Moshe leaving his wife in order to talk to God? And this is the conversation that they have together. And she's really, really concerned. Who is Miriam? Why is she talking about Moshe? And why is it considered lashon hara if she's talking about her? Why is it considered bad, evil talk if she's talking about her brother? It's her brother. She cares about her brother. So I want to just go back before we get into the details of what happened here. I just want to go back to what happened. Who was Miriam? And I love this part, because I feel like no one really talks about this. Miriam, when she was really little, like she was 6 years old, she was a really special person. She was actually talking to Hashem. She was actually talking to God and having prophecy when she was 6 years old. What happened? So remember Pharaoh was like really like the worst Hitler ever, like really destroying the Jewish people. He was enslaving the Jewish people in the most horrific, most creative, crazy way. He was killing them as babies. He was beating them up. He was pushing them down for not like a year, for 5 years, like the Nazis did, for hundreds of years. He's like beating them and destroying the Jewish people. This is Pharaoh. And finally, Pharaoh says, you know what? I see that in the stars, there's going to be a boy, a man that's going to take over and destroy me, which is true. That's what actually happens. And he saw, like in the stars, astrologers saw that there was someone's going to be born. Someone's going to come out of the Jewish people, and they're going to take over Pharaoh. So he got really nervous. So what did he do? Hi, Raquel, so nice to see your beautiful face. What did he do? He made a decree in the land, and he said, you know what? I don't know who this Jewish boy is going to be, so I'm just going to kill out all the Jewish boys. So he made a decree to kill out all the Jewish boys. And what happened was everybody was getting so distraught from that they started leaving their spouses. They said, you know what? I don't guess there was no birth control then, right? They started divorcing their wives. And they said, forget it. I'm not risking it. I'm not having any children with you. I'm not killing out another person. I'm not allowing my children to die. I'm not going to go deal with that. And one of the leaders of the Jewish people at that time, who was Amram, his name was Amram. Tell me if I'm going too fast here. His name was Amram. Amram was married to Yocheved. The top people, the leaders of the Jewish people at that time, they actually got divorced. They divorced each other because they were so afraid that Paro was going to kill their child. They were afraid that they're going to have another child. And Miriam, a 6-year-old who's having a prophecy, talking to Hashem, Hashem says, no. Like you are going to actually, your parents are actually going to have the leader that's going to overthrow Paro. So they actually have to stay together. So Miriam, as a 6-year-old, goes over to her mommy and her abba and her daddy and says, guys, you can't get divorced. You have to stay together. I promise you, Hashem is telling us that you're gonna have the special child. You're gonna have the leader that's gonna take the Jewish people out of this misery that we're going through. You can't get divorced. You have to come back together. And you know what? Her parents are so inspired and so motivated from Miriam, little Miriam. And they're like, you know what? We have to get remarried. And they get remarried. And Miriam says, you know what? Miriam even expands upon that. And she says, you know what? You're worse than Paro. She says to her parents, really strong, you're worse than Paro. You know why you're worse than Pharaoh? Because you're killing all the Jewish babies, the girls and the boys. Maybe you'll have a girl. Pharaoh's only killing the boys. Who says that you're not going to have a girl? So you're destroying everyone. So you're worse than Pharaoh. And that's why they were so inspired. They say, you know what? You're right. We're going to get that back together. And they get back together and they get married again, remarried because of Miriam. And they have a baby. They have a little baby, Moshe. And the Torah actually says that there was a light. The Medrash says that there was a light around Moshe. It was like a physical light around Moshe, around Moses. He actually had a beautiful light within the house. Like there was the house was lit up because of Moses. And they were so happy. And there's actually such a beautiful little story that Amram and Yocheved, her parents, went over to Miriam and they kissed her on her forehead. And they said, you're a greater prophetess than we are. We also talk to Hashem, but you're greater than us. Thank you for giving us this light. And they were so happy to have Moshe. They were so happy to have Moses. And they were hiding him for a long time especially because they knew, oh my gosh, he has this like aura around him. There's like this light, this like chaim, this beautiful baby. We can't let anybody know that we have this baby. And they were hiding him for a few months. And finally, Pharaoh was like, what's going on here? Why are there so many baby boys being born? And so he started sending in his his army into the Jewish homes to find these Jewish babies. And they got worried. So Yocheved puts together this beautiful teva, this beautiful like basket for Moses. And she makes it like smell good, and she makes it comfortable for him. And she's crying. I mean, we can't even imagine this. Like, we're giving him to the Nazis. We're giving this baby to the Nazis, giving this baby to Pharaoh, to the Egyptians. And she's crying over this baby. I can't believe, like, I came back together with my husband. I had this baby. There's so much light in our home. And I'm giving this baby into the water, to the raging water. And this water wasn't just like simple water. Who knows what's going to happen to this baby? Like, it's going to die, like all the other babies that's happening to Jewish babies. And she's crying. And Amram's crying. And they walk over. This is a medrash that says, they walk over. I'm going to start crying. They walk over to Miriam, little Miriam, and they slap her across the face. And they say, shame on you. Where's your prophecy now? Look what's happening. And you know what Miriam does? Miriam says, I'm telling you, it's going to be good. Good? How can it be good? We're in the worst thing ever. We're giving away our baby to the waters, to the Egyptians. How could this be good? And what does Miriam do? She stands, she follows her parents. She puts the baby into the water, he's stuck on the reeds, and she waits, and she hides, and she stands there. Why is she standing there? She wants to see her baby brother turn over and die, God forbid. She wants to watch this evil thing happen in front of her eyes. And then the Torah says that and it would be so beautiful if we could actually look inside and really delve into this. But the Torah says that she actually sees the daughter of Hitler, the daughter of Pharaoh, Batya, coming with all her maidservants. It's like Hitler's daughter coming to the water. The one that's killing up all these Jewish babies, the one that's making us suffer. The very daughter is coming to the water to bathe. And she's like, just standing there. She's just watching. What is she watching for? You know what she was watching for? The Torah tells us that Miriam was standing there because she had hope. In the worst times, she knew, no, Hashem gave me a prophecy. I know that it's going to come out. It's going to come true. I trust in Hashem. And I know that Hashem is going to bring the redemption through this baby, through Moshe. I don't know how it's happening, but I want to see. I want to wait and see how it's going to happen. And she waits and she looks. And there is Batya, and she sees this baby. I mean, there's like hundreds of babies in the water. And she sees this baby is stuck inside a reed. And she tells her maidservants to go get it. And she stretches out. And the Torah says that she stretched out, and like her arm sort of like stretched out even longer than what her arm could have been. Right? It was not even possible. Like, this miracle happened. And what really happened here? She was stretching out from within. She was like actually having compassion. Hitler's daughter. She actually saw a baby crying, heard a baby crying in the reeds, and she's actually going to take the baby and ask her maidservants to go and take the baby. Number one, compassion. Who is this Hitler's daughter, Paro's daughter, that's actually having compassion? She's actually caring about somebody. And she gets the baby and she stretches herself thin. She's like stretching herself beyond what she's normally like. She has compassion, and she sees the baby's crying and crying, crying. She doesn't know how to stop this baby. And she's trying to stop this baby and rock the baby, and she feels so sad. And she realizes, oh my gosh, it's a Jewish baby. She says it's a Jewish baby, and you know what she says? I have to take this baby back. Oh no, but it's like a Jewish baby. But she starts having a conflict within herself. Do I take this baby back with me? Should I leave the baby and kill it? I've been killing all these babies till now. We've been fine with it till now. I've seen lots of babies dying, but like this baby's crying in front of me. Like, should I take this? And she's sort of like in conflict here. And what does Miriam do? She comes out of the reeds and she's like, oh, hi, I saw that you're having like a little bit of like, you're not sure what to do. If you want to take him back, don't worry about it. I can get you somebody. You want me to get you somebody to nurse him? Because I see that he's crying and you want me to help you stop him from crying? I'll help you. She actually has the guts and she goes over to Hitler's daughter. I know I keep saying that, but like I was trying to realize, like she goes over, she has the guts to go over to Pharaoh's daughter and say like, I am going to help you. I know, I see that you're conflicted here. And all of a sudden, Batya's like, oh, okay. And her arm stretches. Yes, okay, fine. You're going to help me, fine. I'll take the baby. Not only that, but I'm going to raise him as a Jew. I'm going to let him know that he's Jewish. I'm going to let him keep all the things that he needs to keep as a Jew in my palace. Hitler's daughter. Going to take him in as a Jew and going to let him be raised as a Jew. And how do we know that he was raised as a Jew? Anybody know? How do we know? No one knows? The way we know that he was raised as a Jew is because when it says later on, when Moses came out of the palace and he saw his brethren, he saw his achim, his brothers and sisters suffering, it hurt him, it pained him. He saw them, he felt the pain. And Moses actually felt it because he knew that they were his brothers. How do you know that he was his brothers? Because he was raised as a Jew and he was told he was Jewish. Batya was like tzaddikas moment, like righteous moment at that moment. She like was conflicted and she actually took him. And why did she do that? Because Miriam God had the guts to go over to her and say, hey, I see that you're conflicted. I'll get you somebody to nurse him. And who does she end up getting? She ends up getting her own mother, who's actually has milk and can actually nurse him. But they don't say that. She actually gets paid to nurse him. Yocheved gets paid to nurse her own son. Could you imagine? It's like a miracle, beyond miracles. She gets paid to serve her own son. Wow. So what is Miriam? Who is Miriam? Miriam is this girl, this woman who has a vision. She feels like the whole entire world around her is like depressed, like hurt, abused. They're feeling horrible. And Miriam is like, no, don't leave each other. Don't give up. I'm telling you, Hashem is going to save us. And not only that, but she's the person that actually saves Moshe. She stays there and waits. And she says, I'm going to help you save him. And she literally physically saves Moshe. This is Miriam who really, obviously, what? She cares about Miriam. She cares about Moshe, her brother. She cares about Moses so much. She's putting so much love and care into Moses. She's willing to risk her life for her brother. That's the same Miriam that's talking to Aaron, to her brother Aaron. Did you hear? Moshe, our brother, is divorced, left his wife. Why? Because he wants to talk to God. Who does he think he is? He's my brother. He's your brother. We're talking to God. We're talking to Hashem. We didn't leave our family. We're from the same family. We were brought up the same way. We're in the same shoes here, right? So what's going on here? What's happening? Who does Moshe think he is, that he's so great? But you know what was so great about Miriam? She actually talks to Aaron very privately. She says, Aaron, I need to talk to you about something that's important. She doesn't open up a blog. She doesn't go on Facebook like, hey, everybody. Like, it's not like e-news. Like, hey, did you hear? Moses left his wife. Like, big topic here. Like, she doesn't like get on the chair and be like, hey, everybody, did everybody hear that Moses left his wife? I'm not leaving my husband. Just want you to know, I'm talking to God and I'm still not in this little bubble like Moses is. I was brought up the same way as Moses. I'm not sure why he's leaving his wife. She didn't do that. She went over to Aaron quietly and privately, and she said, Aaron, we have to do something here. What's going on with Moses? And we're not talking about like any like, you know, schmobo out there talking about Moshe. We're talking about his sister, the one that saved his life, the one that was like giving hope to everybody, the one that literally like was in the palace raising him. It says like on her berkayim, on her knees, like she literally had Moses on her knees. This is who Miriam was. So we're going to stop over here for a little bit just to understand, just stop at this point where we see that Miriam was this really powerful woman who was strong, who was willing to step up and to self-sacrifice just to save her brother Moses. And now we're talking about how Miriam spoke badly about that very person that she cared so much about. Is it considered bad? And every single day we have to actually remember what happened to Miriam. We didn't even get into what happened to Miriam because she spoke badly about Moshe, her own brother. Family talk. It's like our family. We could talk about our family. It's okay. It's just my mother-in-law. It's just my sister-in-law, right? It's fine. No. Let's see what happens with Miriam next time. Let's delve into a little bit more what happens to Miriam now that we know a little bit about how their relationship was so strong. Moses and Miriam's relationship was so strong, and yet still she gets punished for speaking lashon hara, for speaking badly about her own brother, even though she did it privately and she did it for a reason. And then we can learn about who Aaron was, and we can delve into what was Aaron. It wasn't like she was just going to like, you know, open up a blog. She was going to Aaron, her brother. What was Aaron's characteristic? Who was he? Why was she going to him and not to her mother or to her father or to her uncle? Why was she going to Aaron specifically? So we'll delve into that a little bit more another time, next week, hopefully. And we'll delve into a little bit more of what an amazing leader Miriam was to the Jewish people, and how because of her, we were merited to have so many things. We were merited to have so many things because of Miriam happen to us as a Jewish people, as a Jewish nation, because of Miriam. And we don't really talk about her so much. But you should know that every single morning, when you wake up in the morning, you should remember, Zachar es asher asa Hashem l'kach leMiriam. Remember what Hashem did to Miriam. When? When they went out of Egypt. When? When she spoke lashon hara, when she spoke badly about Moshe. So let's get into what happened there. Why are we remembering Miriam as if we have just at the same level as remembering that we have to keep Shabbos? And why are we remembering Miriam at the same level that we have to remember that God took us out of Egypt? What's so great about what happened to Miriam? Good questions, huh? Anyway, let's continue next week. Delve into a little bit more. Thank you so much for joining us.